I was mad about losing Zadi, and I was mad about having to face it.
In the beginning, my grief was so overwhelming and debilitating. I couldn't function.
Friends that we expected to show up didn't or couldn't sustain our pain.
A lot of family and friends, it's hard for them to hear.
Like this voice came on in my head and said, if you don't find somebody to help you, you're not going to survive this.
The vision of Selah Carefarm and the Respite Center is really to create a therapeutic community for people. A place where people can go in their trauma and grief and just be with their authentic emotions.
To have a place that you can come and grieve over the loss of your baby, or the loss of your teenage daughter, or even the loss of your adult child is huge, huge.
So grief work for me is both personal and professional. 23 years ago, a little being came into this world, and you know, she changed my life. She was this little being, but she had a tremendous impact on me, and I loved her a lot, and I had nowhere to put that love except to helping others and serving others. Others who lost spouses and parents and siblings, or, you know, an animal that was, you know, treated really cruelly and violently by a human being.
You can see the scars on his back. He had exposed bone and was packing 150 pounds out of the Grand Canyon.
So I learned about care farming because I'd rescued this horse a couple of years ago that had been violently abused, was very, very close to death.
I said to him when I was leaving him, I said, you got to remember me because I'm going to come back for you. It took me 3 days, and I got to the right person, and I got him. And he walked right over to me off the trailer. So it was like he was saying, hey, you came back for me.
A lot of clients with whom I was regularly working started asking me, can I go see your horse? And I said, sure, because they knew about his rescue, and they would go out to the paddock with him, and they would just cry. And I could see this connection, and people were like, you know, just looked at me and said, look at what he looks like now. Look what love can do. You know, look what compassion can do. And they started seeing themselves in this horse, and I'm like, oh, there's something really important happening here. So I started to see this entire model sort of came to fruition, which includes care farming itself, you know, sort of therapeutic, horticulture, community gardens, farm-to-table programs, working the land, and taking care of animals. And for me, one of the most important things of taking care of animals was taking care of rescue animals, because they've known suffering.
Wilbur was left in a repossessed house. He had been without food or water for at least a month, and now he's kind of living the life.
We connect to the rescue animals more when we have this trauma, and they actually relax us and put a smile on our face. And when you hear their stories, you connect with their suffering and what they went through.
The way he wags his tail, he's like, I am here to love you.
And the second part of the model was, you know, sort of contemplative practices, which included, you know, group work and, you know, humans meeting other humans who had also suffered, you know, based in contemplative work, and having counseling with counselors, grief counselors who were trained to be contemplative.
I was mad. I was just mad. That's
For
the
good
only way I
reason.
can. Yeah, I was mad about losing. I was only 9 weeks out too, and I was mad about losing Zadi, and I was mad about having to face it, and I was mad that all these other parents had lost their kids. I was just. It just seemed like all of a sudden I could see the whole world, and it sucked.
You realize your own suffering, and then you're seeing the suffering of others, and your heart like shatters open to the reality of grief everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the last piece is physical well-being, which includes psychoeducation, like stress resilience, good sleep hygiene, you know, eating clean, you know, and getting enough sunshine and exercise, moving the body, and those kinds of things.
For me, it's more about being in nature and being present and mindful.
I like the planting part, because anything that I can work with my hands and my really therapeutic for me.
You know, this farm is about a therapeutic community. It's about connecting people who have suffered with other people who have suffered. It's about connecting animals who have suffered with people who have suffered. It's about deep compassion for ourselves and our grief, and for what's outside ourselves. There aren't very many places like that in the world where you can go to experience just what is and have the space and the freedom to do that.